Alright, stream is back online. Still think Costco is probably the best chart on my watch list right now. Fubo is actually not too bad as well. Johnny was mentioning that this morning. It has broken out like twice since the morning bell. NIO bounced beautifully off that trend line. We talked about that in the summary. You zoom into the trend line pretty much to the penny. So you fulfilled the gap. Now you're just kind of looking for the breakout of the gap around $47. You can hold above 47. It should be able to push higher. Beautiful dragonfly on the daily. Going on, Mucky. I also like Lulu, but you're basically already at your target on Lulu. Target would be around 356. Roku, pretty much at our target as well, 390, 393. I mentioned that this morning. We've been trading Roku for a little while now. Called it out last week as well. DoorDash still looking really good. I told you guys above 155 it would start to put in that major move up to like 187, 200, 215. So that's playing out as well. Pretty big volume came in on Friday. That's pretty much it for right now. The watch list is pretty small. Dow flew today. Yeah, all the indexes were really strong. One of the most bullish candles we've seen on ES in a very long time. What's going on, Gabriel? If you look back at the 1 hour, 15 minute, whatever you want on ES, you can see it was pretty much an inverse head and shoulders. Pretty textbook. You had the left shoulder sell off, put in the head, pop up, same resistance, put in the right shoulder, and then break out. Very, very common. I posted a bunch of analysis last night in Discord if you guys saw that. I can go over a little bit of that on stream here. See if I can pull it up. Where did that other picture go? So I was showing using very standard Bollinger Band default settings, kind of showing where every time ES pulled back to test the lower standard deviation, basically since the COVID low, so like this would be the COVID low here, every single time it came back to test the lower deviation, within like 5 days, like within a stock week, it retraced. There was not a single instance where it tested the lower deviation and it gave you a continuation of the downside. So we were testing that lower deviation on Friday on SPY. So we were anticipating a bounce on that level. I was thinking that it was going to bounce probably somewhere around like 419, 420. We were looking for the gap fill. If it wanted to fill the gap up to like 422, that would have been nice. But didn't actually get that high. I think the high of today is like 421. So just barely missing that gap fill. Another one of the things I talked about last night was looking at VWAP analysis. So if you look at VWAP, typically on a 30-minute or a 1-hour chart, if you look at it on the indexes, basically anytime there's a big sell-off, VWAP is going to be descending pretty much the entire way down. There's not going to be an instance where VWAP is ascending and price is trading above VWAP and we're still continuing to the downside, right? So we were looking at this last night where you have that sell-off and you have VWAP just quickly following price. You're getting a lot of volume, right? Pulling price down. And I said the first sign that we're going to be bottoming is going to be when that VWAP starts to ascend. It starts to rise, right? So if we get rid of that and we go down to ES here, we can see where that started to happen. This was the chart that I posted last night where you have that sell-off of VWAP, right? And then you have that beautiful candle that came in on the overnight session around 2 a.m. that started to break VWAP. And then you had a little bit of consolidation kind of on that resistance there. And then you flip that into support. And then VWAP started to rise. So you can see the ascending VWAP. So once that started to happen, you basically can confirm once you have an SR flip. So like here's the SR flip. Resistance turned into support. Once that happens on an ascending VWAP, you can basically say that this is bottomed for now. Like this is the local bottom. So until that resistance, which turned into support, until that turns back into resistance, this bottom is in, right? And then all the way up, you can see VWAP just ascending beautifully. You have another resistance here, which is that inverse head and shoulders. And then we turn that into support when we break out on, I think that was right at the morning bell. Yeah, right on the morning bell. So very bullish. I went ahead and took my hedge because I'm trying to follow my plan that I said last week. Last week I said if it bounces here, I want to take a small hedge just in case that this is a top here. And we start to bottom and correct. Or sorry, we start to top and correct. I wanted to have a small SPY hedge to hedge my stock positions. I'm currently in a few stock positions, Costco, retail sector, airline sector. I even have some Carnival, cruise line. I have some silver, stuff like that. So I'm not bearish. I'm still net bullish, but I want to hedge just in case we do go down. My stop loss on that hedge would be all-time high. So if this does continue to break out higher and we break into an all-time high, I'm going to close my hedge. And hopefully, if we're breaking an all-time high, my share positions in Costco, retail, travel, they should be doing very well. So it's going to offset my loss from the hedge. That's my plan, basically, moving forward. What's going on, Frank? Agars, Poncho, Daily Dev. Can I look at Fisker? Yeah, let me take a look. What's going on, Dirty? Fisker. So we talked about this on stream before I went on vacation. And I told you like that candle there was an entry candle. That was like your breakout bar. And then we had the big breakout. And now we have the first correction from that breakout. So this is typically pretty bullish. So we have the break of the wedge. Reclaim of the 50-day moving average. This starts your impulse. So you have a nice little move up. And then this is your first pullback. So first pullbacks are typically bullish. So for right now, the next trigger would be like kind of a break of this flag. It's kind of hard to draw, but if we look at, let me zoom in. If we look at this level right here as like an SR flip, like you have resistance, popped above it, pulled back to retest it, and then you found support. So this is clearly a support, like right down here. So that would be like the low of the wedge, the triangle, and then the high of the triangle would just be connecting the tops here. So as long as that holds as support, you should be okay. And then if you break this level here, this should be very bullish because this is a first pullback. First pullback of a major breakout should be pretty bullish. You said you didn't have the funds at 13 when I told you. You got it at 17.75. That's not too bad. 17.75. That's a little high. I was thinking like 15. Yeah, 17's a little high, but for right now, it's safe for now. Your stop loss is pretty tight. Below 16, I'd probably get out of that. Hey, Traveler. Yeah, Mucky, definitely. He said today's been a very wide day. Best since March, hopefully. We see a higher, but hedge myself. Yeah, today has been very, very volatile for sure. Am I out of my silver positions? No, my silver positions are very long term. I'm taking a beating on them right now, but they're not a massive portion of my portfolio. But yeah, I am taking a beating. Right before I went on vacation, I almost sold more premium on my AG position because my current position was going to expire while I was on vacation, which it did. So we made 100% profit on that premium. I was going to sell more before I left, but I didn't do it. And that would have been beautiful. That would probably already be up like 50% if I did. So now we kind of have to wait for a bounce. I can sell here, but it's not going to give me a big credit. If I sold here, I would only be getting a like a 20-cent credit, which is not good. So if it does bounce kind of towards that gap, then I probably will sell that. How's my Home Depot position? I don't have a Home Depot position. I can take a look at it though. I'm in Costco. You might be thinking of Costco. Home Depot doesn't look too bad. That's a very hard trend to draw. You could probably take it from here. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. So if you ignore the doji and you take it from that sell-off there, you can kind of create a wedge here. So we are breaking out of that wedge. There's not a lot of volume, though, on the breakout. And you're also below the 50-day. I'm trying to avoid taking share positions that are below the 50-day. Because we're not seeing a lot of stocks right now reclaim their 50 and then and break out. If they're below the 50, they're typically downtrending. We're not seeing a whole lot of reversals. Yeah, my Costco position's looking good. Really good day today. You bounced off VWAP perfectly, broke the pivot. You're retesting the range high. If it breaks this range high here, we're going to get paid. I'm already profitable on it, I believe. I got a pretty high entry the last time we traded it. But I think I'm profitable. I don't have my broker pulled up right now, so I'm not sure exactly what my entry is. One position that I'm a little worried about is our short squeeze position here. But it's a very small size position due to the high risk nature of it. But it did fail that level. And we're looking at like 1050 as major resistance. So it needs to get back above that level as soon as possible, or the short squeeze is not going to happen. General Electric just got a big block trade. You're retesting this triangle here, so pretty choppy price action. You can look at the weekly and see it's just not really doing much. You are bouncing off 21 EMA though on the weekly, which is pretty strong. So definitely long term, still very bullish. Short term, not really much you can trade off of here. Wish is having a big day. I'm not sure if you guys watched my scanner stream, but Wish is all over the scanners. It's breaking out of this trend. Massive volume too. This is the highest volume it's ever had. It's up 20% today. You can see once it reclaimed that 50-day moving average, it took off. Big resistance where it's currently at, right here around VWAP. Then you have another one right up here around 17. So if it breaks this level around 14, then I would be looking at like 17. If you look at my scanner here, you can see it's the biggest gainer of the big companies. Second biggest gainer is FIGS, which I don't know what that is. Pretty massive chart though, look at that thing. And then the third biggest gainer is APA. Beautiful 50-day bounce on that one. Bounced off VWAP as well. It's actually not a bad chart. Pretty shitty chart long term though. Look at where it's bouncing. So, like always, this is kind of ridiculous because it's on a monthly chart. But like I always say, the longer the pivot, the more of a magnet it is, right? If the pivot is very, very long, it's a very strong magnet, right? So look at these monthly pivots back from 1997 and 1999. These pivots have been basically in place since then. There has not been another pivot put in since those levels. So they're basically magnets. And then we had that massive distribution up here, kind of put in that lower high structure. So ignore that this is on a monthly chart. And imagine that this was like the same exact setup on like a 5-minute chart or a 50-minute chart. If you saw pivots like this, and then you saw like a topping pattern, you're targeting the pivots. Like those are going to be where price is being drawn to. And now we're actually bouncing off these pivots, so not looking too bad. It's the third biggest gainer of all the big companies today. The weekly is also breaking a pretty long-term downtrend here. Hey, Traveler, I appreciate that, man. We've been growing our subscriber numbers on YouTube. It's a slow grind, you know? We don't really have like any massive spikes like a lot of other accounts have. We're just having a steady growth. I'd like to be close to like 10,000 by the end of the year. We'll see if we can hit that. It's kind of my goal. Figs is an athletic wear. Gotcha. I really want to see Costco close the day above like 388. It's probably too much to ask for, though. Tesla's still holding VWAP, so I think as long as Tesla holds VWAP around like 612, it's okay. But Tesla's one of those charts that I was talking about. It's below the 50-day moving average, and we're not seeing a whole lot of stocks break above the 50-day and then stay above the 50-day. Right now, it's kind of like a bear flag. It's still in a daily buy. It's a very, very choppy daily buy on the bot, but it's still in a daily buy, so that's not the worst. You're still in a weekly sell, though, which is why the daily buy is so choppy. 4-hour buy. 1 hour's in a buy, so it's not doing too bad. Look at the resistance on the bot. The bot gave you resistance around 631. That was the top to the penny almost. Microsoft looks really strong. You filled the gap. So that gap has been filled. And you hit an all-time high. So if you can stay above like 262, you could be looking at some very juicy lottos on Friday. Maybe like 265s. Yeah, crypto's getting wrecked today. I think it's down almost 10%. We talked about it on the summary markets. I talked about how it had a Momo pinch bearish, which is typically very, very high strike rate. You typically don't want to trade against that. I did say it was holding a little bit of support, so he did have a little bit of support below you. But it's still, there was no signals to really long until it reclaims like 37,000, 40,000. There's no real long signal. Big sell volume today too. Can I check out Amazon? I can take a look. We've been talking about Amazon for a little while now. It's been hitting my levels beautifully. If you guys have been trading based on the levels that I give you guys an analysis, you should be doing very well. I told you if it broke 32.75, very likely getting 33.71. Above that, 34.66. So that target has been hit. Next target is 35.54. You would have to hold above like 3,500, 34.75. So right now you're getting a little bit of resistance. A lot of support down around 3,400. But nothing really in between. Bronze said, my employer requires me to hold securities for 60 days after purchase. Do you have any recommendations for trading with 60-day time frames? What I would recommend is just not looking at anything below a daily or a weekly. Now, honestly, you could even look at just weekly, so you don't even need a daily. If you're looking that long term, like you can't even trade anything less than 60 days, you don't even really want to be looking at low time frames. So that would be the first recommendation, is stick to high time frames. Probably most of your focus should be on the weekly. And then you could look at the daily for maybe some confirmation. Also, try to trade things that are not very fast movers. They've got low volatility. You could even trade like ETFs or sectors. You don't want to be trading stuff like NIO or Tesla or vaccine companies or anything that has like very high volatility. Because if you have to hold it for 60 days, it could crush you. So trade like blue chip companies, blue chip ETFs, stuff like that. You're still holding Doge. I can only imagine what that's doing. It's probably getting wrecked. Oh yeah, it's down 26%. I told you guys a little while ago that the most important level was like this area right here. You had that resistance, turned into support. So once you lost that, it was dead. And then you retraced into it, and it was dead again. So you could have shorted that move, and you would have made a nice little profit. I haven't opened my crypto broker in a while. I cashed out at 56.6. I withdrew most of my money. The only money I did not withdraw is the money that is staked into FTT, and I'm holding some BNB spot, but very, very small percentage. I think both of them combined was less than like 20% of my portfolio. If you guys remember back on stream, I was telling you that 56.6 level was the most important level on the chart because it lined up with everything. You had the 50-day moving average, you had the volume profile POC, you had a Fibonacci level there, you had a monthly VWAP level there, like everything. Like literally all of my indicators were telling me that that level was the level. Now, the only mistake that I made was I cashed out, I didn't short. I should have shorted, and I would have made a killing. But I figured cash out, let it nuke, buy it back cheaper, don't worry about shorting. But in hindsight, obviously, shorting that level, you'd be up massively. 48%, 42%. That's on 1x leverage. If you would have shorted that with like 3x leverage, disgusting. What's going on, Alan? If this continues lower, we still have some Fibonacci levels that we have not hit. So right around like 28.9, 26.3, and then around 17.4. Those are the most important levels. I think if you also zoom out, let me go to the index. How do you do the index? Go down to a weekly. Yeah, so let me, I'm trying to make this easy to visualize. You can see that we have some support down here around this little volume node, which is right around like 23 to 24,000, which I believe, wasn't that a fib level? Let's see. Where's my fib? $28 to $26, so the fib levels are a little higher. Yeah, we do have a little bit of support right there around 24. And if you lose that, there's really nothing in between that and like 20,000. So like right here, you can see that node there. And then if we go higher, you can see where most of the volume is. Right around that. Basically the exact range, the range that we're in. And then if we break like 39,000, that's when you start to gain a lot of value. Because there's nothing really in between your way, in between where you are now and like 50,000. So if we were to grab like one level here, you can look at like the POC, which would be like right there. And then we have a big gap in between that. And then the next POC would be right there. Around 49. But if we lose this level, which we're about to lose, right around like 30, there's really no support here. This could easily nuke all the way down to like 23, 24. And I don't think people realize how quickly it could fall there. Even if you zoom out and you put in all the value of 2017 all the way through 2021, there is no support until like 20,000. I'm not trying to be a perma bear or anything, I'm just saying it could easily go a lot lower. Yeah, I had a good vacation, Alan. It was a fun time. What's going on, Lavender? Can I look at CRM? Let me take a look. So we talked about this on stream a little while ago, I think before vacation. You broke the downtrend. Very nice retest of the downtrend. Beautiful. And then you had that secondary run up. So this looks pretty good. A little bit of a distribution going on here. Look at that double bottom. Pretty strong support. Very nice dragonfly on the daily. You can kind of see an SR level here. You see how this high is turning into a low. So anything above like 237 is pretty bullish. If it breaks out again, this gap is already filled, so that's not a target. The next target would be around VWAP, like 253. How's SPY doing here? The SPY still consolidating here. It's still above the 50-day moving average. You need to break that pivot though, 5-minute pivot around 421. General Electric getting a lot of sells here, but it's pumping. Interesting. They're not very bearish though. They're probably neutral. You can look at my scanners here. This is my over 1 million share block trade scanner. And GE's gotten 2 big block trades in the past 30 minutes. These typically would be bearish. It says at the bid. So somebody is selling into the bid. But that also means somebody's buying, obviously, because it's shares. They're both sides. Trading below is much more bearish than at the bid. At the bid is just slightly bearish. So whoever bought those shares is getting a pretty good price because it's already pumping. My view on what, Traveler? So it's reclaimed this lower trend line. The only way that I would find this bullish is if it reclaimed like this area here. Break all the resistance. Reclaim the triangle. You also have dividends coming up, so you're going to get a little sell-off from that, most likely. That's only 1 cent. Never mind. For the US market, I think we're pretty bullish. I am hedged just in case this is a fake out. but I think it is pretty bullish. This is one of the most bullish candles we've seen on the daily in a very long time. And if you look back, I posted this in Discord as well. Anytime there is a piercing or a doji bottom on ES, there is almost always continuation. If it has a doji off support or a piercing candle off support, there is almost always continuation. So I would be inclined to believe that we continue upward. Well, like I said, I did take a hedge today, so if this is a fake out, I have a small hedge that I'll get paid if it goes down. Very tight stop loss on my hedge. My hedge is all-time high. So if it, or my stop is. If it gets all-time high, I'm going to close it. NQ also looks very bullish. Your SR flipping the local high. So you had resistance turn into support. So as long as you stay above 14,000, I think it goes higher. You also have things like Amazon pumping. Amazon's doing well. A little pullback today, but overall doing very well. Microsoft pumping filled the gap. You had a nice move on Apple today. Facebook looks like it's getting ready to run again. So most of the big tech is ready to run. I think if all the other Qs start running, the other FANG stocks, that's when you want to pay attention to that gap on Netflix. Because Netflix likes to fill every single gap, right? It's just a matter of time. It's very hard to figure out kind of when it's going to fill that gap. But if the other FANG stocks start running, then Netflix should go for that gap fill. The safest bet is taking shares because then you can just hold on and wait, and you're almost certain to get that price level. I'm talking about the 550 gap. So if the FANG stocks start pushing up, Netflix starts to break like 510, I think you get 550 pretty easily. Excuse me. Can I check DeFi chain? DeFi chain. What is the, you mean just DeFi perp? That would be like, I think that's a basket though. It's not like actually a, that's not actually a coin. Oh, here it is. DeFi chain. It's only on Qcoin and Bittrex, so already a red flag there. Pretty dog shit chart. Pretty big volume coming in here. I think it's almost the highest volume it's had. You lost the daily pivot around 287. You do have a decent amount of support coming in, kind of along these levels that it opened up at. You can see that almost every time it pulls back to this like low twos, it gets bought up. But that sell volume is pretty strong. Losing the pivot sucks. You're below the 50. You're below all the VWAPs. I probably wouldn't touch this, but if you're looking for something to like dip buy, anything in the low twos seems like it gets bought up pretty quickly. There hasn't been an instance where it broke the low twos. You do have a Momo pinch bearish though, which typically you do not want to trade against. So waiting for some buy pressure would definitely be better. Speaking of VWAPs, the bounce off VWAP on SPY is perfect. This is why I look at the monthly VWAP levels. This is the VWAP from not June, but May. So the May VWAP here, you kind of pushed away from it after it opened, and then you corrected right into it. And it basically bounced off it to the penny. Like if you zoom in, look at this. A perfect bounce. So as long as that VWAP holds, mid to long term, you're fine. Losing these two VWAPs would start to send us into a short-term bear correction. You do not want to lose 2 months worth of VWAP. So anything below like 411, you're most likely going to go for those gaps. Yeah, Traveler, most of the world markets will follow each other. If you look at correlation coefficients from pretty much any of the world markets comparing each other, they're pretty much spot on. Like these are all the world indexes here. They all basically look exactly the same as the US market. UK, there's Germany, there's India, what is that, China. You have the Nikkei, Japan, and then you have Australia. The only one that looks a little different is Japan. Japan's a little weak right now. And if you go to, where is it? The USD JPY, you can see the dollar is gaining strength against the yen because the yen is weakening. So Japan's just not doing very well economically right now. Thoughts on Bitcoin? Very weak. If you want thorough analysis, go watch the video that I posted yesterday, Summary Markets. I go in depth on why I think Bitcoin's weak here. It had a little bit of support when I posted the video. That support is already lost. So, very bearish for sure. Anything below like 33,000, 34,000 is very weak. You do have a lot of buy pressure. You can see basically every single time it's dipped down here. Previously, it has been bought up. But the amount of sell volume that you're getting right now and how quickly that last pump was faded, it doesn't look like it wants to bounce here. But it's still just ranging. So until the range is broken, buy the low, sell the high strategy is basically all you want to be doing. We just lost the middle of the range, and now we're coming into like the buy the dip territory. Like buy the dip would be anywhere around here. As long as you hold on to those levels, you could get a nice scalp out of it. But if this is the move that loses the range, very likely going to go down to like 24,000. Is that an indicator that has monthly VWAP? It's one of the free indicators that we give our members. You could probably find an indicator just like it on the built-in on TradingView. You would just have to look for a VWAP script that you can change the time frame. Then you just set the time frame to a monthly. So these are the monthly closes. I could show you like the entire monthly. Like I could go in here and show you the whole month. So like that would be the monthly VWAP moving average. These are the closes. This is where each month is closing. It definitely can be useful to look at this, the monthly VWAP kind of developing, but I pay more attention to the closes. Then you could also throw on the standard deviation lines if you want. Kind of shows you where buy the dip opportunities are, sell the highs. Very, very rare for any equities to trade outside of their monthly range. So that was another one of the signals that we got on Friday. It was trading outside of its monthly VWAP. Roku pulling back a little bit. Roku had a lot of calls today, 140,000. The biggest call volume was Wish with 800,000. You guys can take a look at the scanners here. You can see the most unusual call volume today is Wish, Roku, PCG, Smith & Wesson, Cat, Shopify, and then CLNE, Clean Energy. Short squeeze scanner, you had B Cell. Didn't really look at that one today. Let's see. It doesn't look too bad, but it's not breaking the 50-day moving average yet, so a long way to go. I really hope Costco breaks this this high. Very low volume today though is a little worrying. Low volume is actually kind of good though, because it kind of tells us that there's not a lot of sellers battling here. Like if this was a battle, it would look like how it did back here, May 27th and May 28th. Because you had that candle right here that tried to break out, and then you had a whole lot of volume. But that was a lot of sell volume. A lot of sellers were fighting that. So we're not getting a whole lot of volume today, so it's not much of a battle. The buyers are just winning. Yeah, I'm still holding Costco. I still like Costco a lot. I think it's my favorite chart right now. Then Costco and then Roku. I traded Roku on Friday. We took a same day lotto while we were on vacation. Very, very good trade. Make sure you guys, if you guys are in Discord, our $30 tier or our higher tiers, make sure you guys are watching the analysis channel because I've been kind of changing up how I do my analysis, and I've been giving you guys a lot of lottos. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me to do that for some time, but I didn't want to do before. I didn't want to push too many lottos because I know, like, if I say like, okay, this looks good, here's a lotto, you guys are just gonna blindly trade it. But the way that I worded it now, I give you guys like important levels. I give you guys like triggers, and then I tell you like, okay, if it breaks this level, then this lotto looks pretty decent. So make sure you're watching those. But this is I made an Excel sheet. I'm gonna start tracking all these lottos, and the ones that I called out on Friday for Roku, I called out a bunch, but Roku are the only ones that triggered. And those were massive gains, 307% and 447% were the maximum potential. So this just goes to show you how strong these lottos are. So just make sure you guys are watching that channel. You sold early. What'd you sell early, Jonathan? Can I look at CROX? Let me see. Crocs, I didn't even know they had a stock. Yeah, they're doing pretty good. People like their Crocs. There's a weekly pivot at 108. You gotta watch out for that. If it breaks that weekly pivot, I'd probably be looking for around 113 to 115.
I went to Lulu this weekend. I saw the underwear. I couldn't spend that much on underwear.
It's only $20. It's not bad.
Each.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Imagine paying for the crypto socks.
Man, you gotta think about this. How many times do you wear underwear a month, right? Almost every day, pretty much. How long are you gonna keep?
Be clear, every day.
How long are you gonna keep these pairs of underwear? A long fucking time. So $20 is a pretty damn good price.
Considering how much you use them, maybe.
Chad said, I'm poor as fucking Lulu underwear is still worth it. Jolly Bee, yeah, exactly. How often do you really buy underwear? I buy underwear like once a year. $20 for something you wear for more than 5 years. I don't know if I keep my underwear that long, but it's definitely longer than a year.
Yeah, my underwear will disintegrate if I had it for 5 years.
5 years is a little bit of a stretch. Maybe a year or two.
Neckbeard's watching your stream, been in the same underwear for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. They're like 5 years. Fuck, I've never thrown my underwear out. What was the other one you mentioned? Crocs and what else? SE? C Limited? It's got a nice little SR flip going on. You're kind of flipping like this previous high. I think as long as it stays above like 271, it looks pretty good. You got a small gap above you, right around 283. You hold above that, it should be breaking an all-time high. Very beautiful. It's kind of like a crab. Very beautiful double bottom here. Got a W formation. Do you want to pay attention to that previous sell-off point? But no, if you broke Lululemon underwear down and how much you're paying per wear, it's probably pennies. And that shit is fire. I won't buy any other underwear now that I've bought Lulu. Oh, you sold the Costco calls? Gotcha. You sold those early. What time is it? We got about 5 minutes. Let's watch the close here on SPY. Jeff, BlackBerry doesn't look too bad. You're putting in a daily buy the dip signal here. But that would be like basically your invalidation. Like if it breaks today's low, that trade's dead. You also have earnings coming up, so like you're playing earnings on a meme stock. Which is like no thanks. SPY pumping here into the close. How's Costco doing? I want to see Costco have a strong close. Not doing too bad. If you guys are new to the stream, make sure to subscribe on YouTube. I do stream 5 days a week. I took last week off. I was on vacation. But I'm back now, so we'll be streaming 3 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I've also been doing scanner streams. So I've been streaming basically this right here. I stream this basically from open around 9:30 a.m. Eastern, all the way to like 2:55 p.m. right before we start the other stream. So if you guys want to follow my scanners, you guys can check that out on Twitch or on YouTube as well. I pay about like $120 to $140 a month for these scanners, so you guys get it for free.
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I'm a normal customer. So small disclaimer on that. I use Trade Ideas for my scanners. I think they have the best scanners in the game. I've tried a lot of other scanners. None of them are like Trade Ideas. And Trade Ideas is like a boomer company. They've been around for a long time. This today helps to confirm your 428 prediction from the summary of markets. 428 prediction, you mean like for the breakout, like the next level? Yeah, today does definitely help that. Today is a very, very bullish candle. One of the most bullish we've seen in a long time. So if this is if this close happens like this, which is about to because we only have 2 minutes left, and then we see confirmation tomorrow. So if tomorrow starts to break above like 422, 423, and we hold and we close above that level, I think we get all-time high pretty soon. And that will probably stop out my hedge, which I'm okay with, because most likely my shares will be running at that point. If it doesn't happen, and today's just a fake out, maybe just today could just be a gap fill, then my hedge will pay. And we'll fail around 422, and then we'll go lower. I think if it reclaims like 423, it has to go to all-time high. So we'll see.
Looks like your 420 lottos ain't lottos no more, eh?
Oh yeah, if you took lottos on the gap fill, they're paying. And then if you took the Roku lottos I mentioned this morning, those things fucking ripped.
Oh shit. I need to buy some new headphones.
I should make a video about how I started trading in my experience. I don't really need a video for that. It's pretty simple. I've gone over it a bunch of times on stream before. But I basically just started when I was bored in high school. I started trading on the fake money stocks. Fake money apps. There were apps where it had like real data for stocks. They were delayed by like 10 minutes. And it gave you like $100,000 and you just traded like you normally would. But it's just fake money. So I started on that and did that for a couple years until I could open up my own brokerage account. And then I opened up an account at 18, started trading penny stocks, moved on to futures trading after a few years. I traded futures for a while. Then the crypto market started exploding in 2017, 2018. So I traded crypto then. Then I got back into equities around like 2019. Started trading options very heavily. And then yeah, we've just been trading stocks, options, and crypto since then, pretty much. This September will mark my 10th year of trading. If you don't count the 2 years that I was in a simulator, it will mark my 8th year of trading. And basically, since when was it, 2018? I think it was 2018, I started my stream. Basically, since then, I've been pretty much public on everything that I do. I've been live streaming since 2018. We've had Discord since 2018. We've changed the Discord a few times. So we had like the brewery. If you guys are really old time viewers, it used to be called the brewery. So that was like the first Discord. Then we moved on to a more of a analysis focused Discord. So that one was just like a community, just where we hung out. Then we moved on to like more of an analysis Discord, and then we moved on to a live trading Discord. But yeah, basically since 2018, I've been posting streams, posting all my trades on Twitter. I've got hundreds of hours of videos on YouTube. Probably even thousands of hours at this point. There was the close. I didn't have my broker open, so you didn't hear the bell. But strong close on SPY and Qs, not looking too bad. How much do you usually play on a lotto? I typically try to keep it less than 2 to 3% of my account. Because when I trade lottos, I'm willing to let those things go to zero. So I don't want to put in like 5% of my account, then let it go to zero. So I typically do 2 to 3% tops. Like that Roku play, I think it was like 2.5% of my account. So I just buy however many contracts will equal like 2 to 2.5% of my account, and then I just let them run. I don't let them all go to zero. Like if I'm trading a lotto and it starts going against me, if it's like breaking a shit ton of support and there's just nothing on the chart that looks good, I won't let it go to zero. But if it's just like going down because of time, like time decay, I'll hold on to it. The Roku trade was really easy. I literally got in and I got out in less than like, I think it was less than an hour. I posted it in Discord at 9:40, like 9:45. I closed it at like 10:30, 10:50. So yeah, it was like about an hour. But I'll hold those overnight too. Like I think it was like the week before vacation or the one before that, I was trading a SPY or a Q Lotto, and I held it for a couple days. If I buy them on Monday and it's a Friday Lotto, as long as the chart doesn't look like dog shit, I'll hold on to it. My favorite Lottos are the same day Lottos when I buy them on Friday, which is what we did with Roku. Those are my favorite because you just buy them in the morning. You find some good levels like to trigger your lotto, and if the trigger is right, they'll go up like 300-400%. Sometimes they'll break the trigger, they'll come down, you'll lose like 50%. Big deal. XERS, I don't remember that one. It doesn't look too bad. You are failing a lot of resistance, though. You got to hold above like 410, 415. I like this pattern though. When you break the 50-day moving average, little bull flag above it, it's typically very bullish. But not the greatest candle today. Laser I still like. Laser's still on my watch list. As long as it holds above like 22, I think laser's pretty strong. One thing to note about the lottos, guys, and I've said this before on Discord, I will not post when I get in lottos in my channel because I do not want you guys to blindly follow my lottos. What I will do, which is like what I did with Roku, is I'll say like, this is my trigger. These are the levels I'm looking at. And I'll tell you if I close them. Like if I got in them, I'll tell you when I'm getting out. The reason I don't want to put in my channel when I enter them is because people are not going to treat them as lottos. They're going to put in like way too much money. They're going to blindly follow me. They're not going to manage their trade. It's just not worth the stress. But I will tell you guys when I get out of them. So like if you guys get in them kind of right when I do, like when the triggers go off, if it starts hitting resistance or something, I'll say when I'm getting out. Sometimes I don't type it. Sometimes I just tell you guys in voice chat. But I'll try to type it. DoorDash had a pretty good close. You did close a daily pivot though. So you created a daily pivot today. So we might see a small pullback. Costco did not close above the range high like we wanted it to. But it did have a very strong day, so I am happy with that. You said there's lots of work screening for lottos versus hit rate and small size. So hit rate's not a problem, honestly, man. I've been tracking the past few weeks, and I'm gonna keep tracking them moving forward. So like this is the past few weeks. These are all the lottos that triggered out of the ones that I posted in Discord, and every single one of them that triggered gave you at least, like, what's the smallest gain? The smallest gain is 30%. I bet there's an average here, did I? Yeah, so the average gain is 247%. So the strike rate is not a problem for sure. And as far as screening for them, it's not hard. I just look for things on my scanners. Charts that look good, I put them on my watch list. And then I go check the open interest and like the volume, and as long as they have decent open interest, decent volume, like the options are tradable, their spreads aren't really bad, then they're playable, right? And as you can tell, the names that I pick for lottos are typically very big names, the names that we like to trade, the big tech names, SPY, Facebook, like all the most common names, right? Like Roku, like these are all very heavily traded stocks. So you don't have to worry about liquidity issues.
SPY's like, yeah, that was just.
And the small size thing doesn't matter, man, because lottos, if you put in, like I said, 2.5 to 3% of your account, and you land 100% trade, 200% trade, that's a huge trade. You just made 2.5 to 3% of your account in one day. Which I know a lot of you guys in here are trying to get rich quick. That doesn't mean shit to you guys. But people who trade with big size accounts, and you're playing the long game, playing the compounding game, that's a huge gain. 3% of your account in one trade. And that's only on 100% gain. A lot of those things can run 200-300% easy. You can go a little higher on, like if you're trading a smaller size account and you're going for like those big moves, you can put more into your lottos. Like you can put 5 to 10% of your account. The problem is you have to be willing to lose at least 50% or more on those trades. Because a lot of those lottos that I called out, they went down. Like in between, let me pull that back up. I should actually start monitoring that, like the drawdown. But like a lot of these lottos, like from the trigger to the high, they did go down like 20 to 30%. So if you're like, oh shit, it's down 20%, you close it, you just killed yourself and you missed out on a massive gain. So like for lottos, you really have to be willing to let those things go down at least 50%. Now I can't go back and track the drawdown of these because they're not even in the option chain anymore. I might be able to add a new column here though, and I'll start tracking it from now on so we can start seeing what the drawdown is on these lottos. And I will say, like, these I consider losses. Like, if the lotto only makes 40% max gain, I would consider that a loss. Like, this is a loss. This is a loss. So that's probably about it. Like, these two here are losses. Like, if they don't make at least 40 to 50%, I would say they're losses. Because, like I said, you have to be willing to at least lose 50%. If you're willing to lose 50 and the maximum potential gain was only 30%, that's a loss. Any take on crude? Yeah, it looks really bullish. I think we talked about it on the summary. You're breaking a weekly pivot, or sorry, a daily pivot. You had a nice little ascending triangle breakout. It looks pretty good. I think oil will continue higher. Obviously, coming off of COVID, everything's going back to normal. A lot of the travel restrictions and whatnot are completely gone. Pretty much every single state, even the very blue states, are completely open. So I think oil will definitely continue to rise. Oil is just a big supply and demand game. Like if you're someone that likes tracking supply and demand, you like tracking all those like policies and what's the word for it? Like geopolitics that go into oil. You'll do well trading oil. It's just extremely volatile. You have to understand that the volatility is a lot higher than trading something like SPY. No, they're my scanners are from Trade Ideas. Black Box is more of an options scanner. This is a stock and options scanner, mainly stocks. I am in talks with Cheddar Flow though. I'm waiting on them to get back to me. Trying to see if I can get a little partnership going with them, and then we'll throw them on the scanner stream as well. Zero Hedge is calling for $100. What, on oil? I wouldn't doubt that, honestly. You really don't have a lot of resistance above you. You break this little area around 75 to 77, and there's really nothing in your way. This is all price inefficiency, so this needs to be filled in anyway. So anywhere from 80 to 90 could be very easy. But all right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream on that. Appreciate you guys being here for my return stream back from vacation. If you guys are new here, like I said, make sure to subscribe. I do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. I am going to be streaming tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, but I'm also going to be doing the scanner stream right around the open. So right around 9:30 a.m., I'm going to turn on the scanners. So if you guys trade equities, if you guys trade options, these scanners will be available to you guys. It will be going basically all day from 9:30 to right around 2:50. Then I'm going to turn them off. The best way to look at these scanners, guys, is put this on. I know a lot of you guys don't have a lot of monitors, but if you have a monitor that you're not really using, make this full screen and put it on that monitor and just dedicate that monitor to the scanners. That's what I do. I have it on an ultra wide. So if you have something like an ultra wide, or you have something like a smaller monitor, maybe like a 24, 27 inch, just throw it on that monitor, leave it on there, don't touch it, and then look at the stocks as they come in. Like things that hit the high day scanner, things that hit the option scanner, just pull them up on your charting platform, see if you like the setup. If you like it, throw it on your watch list, right? That's what I do every day. It's not complicated. They hit the scanner, I take a look at it, I'm like, okay, that looks good. Throw on some levels, put it on the watch list. And then you go look at the options, and you find the options that look good. And if they look good and you want to trade them, you take your trade, right? Where's that video? I do have a video I made. Let me grab it real quick before we end the stream on how to read the scanners. Let me find where that is, 1 second. Here we go. There is the video. So if you guys want to learn how to read the scanners, it's very simple. I just posted a video you guys can watch, and that will go over each individual scanner. No, I have not used the black box. I have seen people on Discord using them, though. They don't look too bad. I'll probably try them out eventually. Alright, guys. You guys have a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will be posting analysis later tonight in Discord as well. It's going to be a little late. Probably around like 10, 11 o'clock. But be on the lookout for that.